sport's most famous racetracks. The 40th anniversary season of motocross in America rolls on right now from High Point. Round 3 of the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship coming up next, live on Fuel TV. We're in Mount Morris, Pennsylvania for round 3 of the 2011 Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship, the 35th annual running of the Rockstar Energy drink High Point National.
I'd also like to thank the Hobart family.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to Fuel TV's continuing coverage of AMA Pro Motocross. Jason Wygant, of course, joined by 4-time AMA National Champion Jeff Emig. His 450 class has been exciting through the first 2 rounds of the series. We expect it to get even better today for round 3. We'll give you the big picture storylines that we're watching here in Pennsylvania. First, Chad Reed dominating this tour so far. He has 2 victories through 2 rounds and a large points lead, partially because of the victories and partially because of bad luck for last year's series champion Ryan Dungey. He led our last race in Texas, but the bike quit. He couldn't make it to the finish line. He's facing a big points deficit to Reed. And what about Ryan Villopoto? Big series favorite coming into this series, however, struggling to the first 2 rounds. A bounce back perhaps today. He was fastest in qualifying. So we turn it over to you, Jeff Emig. 2 different racetracks at the beginning of the year, one in California, one in Texas. Now we move to the East Coast in Pennsylvania for the first time. Is this the type of track that can change the luck for some of the riders in this series?
Well, for Ryan Villopoto, he's counting on that. And this is a fun track for the riders. It's a little less physical. You can use your technique. The bike coasts a little bit better because it's hard pack. You know, it's not so soft where it's pulling the bike down. But I'm telling you, Reed, Dungey, extremely fast. But there's a lot of riders throughout qualifying today. It was kind of mixed up. So you just never know who it's going to be that's going to come here to Mount Morris and have it just be their day.
All right, well, that's going to be interesting. We're about to go racing, but first, let's send it down to the 3rd member of our broadcast team, Aaron Bates, on the starting line.
2 rounds in the book for these guys, and they've had a weekend off. They are rested up and ready to go. And just when Kevin Windham was rested, Kevin, you ended up taking a crash during that first lap of second practice, handlebar to the gut. How are you feeling lining up today?
Oh, I'm doing all right. You know, it's been fun being out here, being a part of Nationals. Looks like I'm going to call it in after Budds Creek, but it's been great to ride for Honda again and the Geico team. Hopefully we can find a podium with just a couple of rounds for me in outdoors left.
Best of luck to you today. And a gentleman who made his mark in Texas, Christian Craig. Christian, what a performance you had out there. What did you take away from that performance that you're going to apply here today at High Point?
Yeah, just running up front. I got the experience to do that, and you know, I'm just going to try to do it again in the first moto and hopefully do it in the second moto now too.
Best of luck to you. And last but not least, we've got Ryan Dungey lining up. Ryan, take us through the disappointment of Texas. Obviously, you've regrouped. What do you do to mentally put that behind you and come out?
Really just put it behind. You know, it was one of them deals. You know, we're out front and had a little bit of a failure, but you know, team's doing a great job. Everybody's working hard, so it don't happen again. So. I think it's just we got to take from it and keep moving forward.
Best of luck to you today. And Chad Reed makes it 2 for 2 already this season. You come in here, Chad, you know that all of these guys after a weekend off are fired up and ready to take you down. What did you do during your time off to prepare for this?
Prepare so they can't take me down. So, you know, we had a good weekend off. It was Ellie's birthday, so we celebrated that. And I would have liked to have kept racing. You know, I was on a bit of a roll there and feeling good, but I feel like we're still in good place. So get a good start today and try to do what we've been doing, you know, stay out of trouble and put some good laps together.
I taught you how to kiss like a French person.
Big talk, big sports, big tunes. The Daily Habit is the wildest late-night party on television. Weeknights at 11 Eastern and Pacific, only on Fuel TV. Welcome back to High Point Raceway, round 3, the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship. And we'll give you an idea of what motocross racing is all about. If you're new to the sport, here's the 411 on MX. Gonna run 2 motos out here today, and that is key. You have to be consistent throughout the race afternoon. 40 riders in each moto, and each race lasts 30 minutes and 2 laps. And we'll take the scores from both to determine an overall winner. The tiebreaker goes to the better score in Moto 2. So that's the race breakdown. Now we'll show you the track map. Jeff, give us an idea of what High Point has in store.
Well, High Point has a lot of elevation changes, and the soil is pretty hard packed. So there's only a few square edge bumps here and there, not like the consistent bumps that we've seen in the first 2 rounds. A lot of big jumps. This big hip jump double right there is massive, okay? Triple step up right here. Big drop offs come up and down. make this ride. You really get a chance to wind it out, a few rhythm sections as you head up to the finish line, and then hit that finish line jumping a long straight onto the mechanics area, and of course the uphill triple right behind the start gate, a classic obstacle.
Riders on the starting line getting ready to attack this racetrack. We had a chance to talk to a bunch of them about what it's like to go fast, try to win here at High Point Raceway in the hills of Pennsylvania.
High Point's the first East Coast track that has the weather into it. It seems like it's always really wet and rainy, and it ruts up. The dirt's really sticky, and the first 2 races don't have conditions like that.
It seems like the start's pretty cool because it's so steep up the hill, and then on top of that, it's, you know, a lot of times it rains there, so it's definitely one of my favorite, and I think it's, you know, it's definitely a favorite of a lot of the riders.
Yeah, you never know what you're going to get at High Point. It could either rain, it could be really dry and hard packed, slippery. You just don't really know, but as far as the conditions and the way they design the track, they do a fantastic job in A+ performance.
You know, Mount Morris doesn't get called Mud Morris for nothing, you know, the potential of rain. Probably the biggest thing there is the dirt. It's probably the first race of the year where the roost really, really hurts. You know, you got a lot of uphill, so, you know, you're always kind of going into it.
They always seem to switch it up each and every year, so it's always something a little bit different. So, but the rain definitely plays a big factor there, being on the East Coast. But you know, it makes for some great racing and do a great job.
Well, Jeff Emig, you've won twice here in your racing career, so talk about Mount Morris a little bit.
Yeah, but I didn't have to race a 450 here, and you notice Reed talk about how bad the roost hurts. That's because it's hard-packed clay. There is weather possibly later on today. We talked about the riders saying that, but they all really enjoy coming here. And as you take a look here, see this clay, you see the dozer marks down through there. Earlier in practice, there was one fast line, and now it's really dried up. The riders can use the whole track. It's relatively smooth compared to the first 2 rounds.
Now, the top of the show, we mentioned some of the favorites coming in, Dungey, Reed, Villopoto. We talked to Kevin Windham. But how about one to watch today? Fuel TV's camera's going to be focused on this man, the number 12, Tommy Hahn, out of Kansas. You know what it's like to come out of that neck of the woods, Jeff. You're a Kansas native yourself. What's he got to do this year? He's been building and building, getting better every week.
Be consistent. He's been strong, he's been fast, and he's cracked the top 10. But just to build on that, and this is the type of track where if you get to start and you get out there and you learn the pace, that you can have a really good race, and it's a little less physical than other tracks. So I look for Tommy to have a really good ride today.
Okay, let's send it down to Aaron for another report. Aaron?
It's the first time we've seen the number 800 of Mike Alessi since the first lap of second practice at Hangtown when he took that vicious crash. He's had a concussion. He's been off for quite some time, and he was just cleared actually after second practice today from the neurologist that he would be able to ride. He's practiced a little bit this week, limited amount of time on the bike, but they finally confirmed that he is able to line up, and as you see, he's on the gate.
Yeah, not only struggling with the concussion, but he had a shoulder injury from a crash a couple of days ago. But look at this crash from Hangtown, Jeff.
Yeah, and I talked to him earlier today, and he explained the crash that just a few corners before that, the right foot peg had a bunch of mud stuck in it, and so that was the cause of the crash. He couldn't get his right foot back on the peg. But Mike looked awesome here today. Great to see him back. He was super fast in practice, and on this type of track is once again where he can come back. If he gets one of those classic hole shots, patented hole shots, he can run away with this thing.
Yeah, the hole shot, that's getting to the first turn first, and that has always been the specialty of the number 800 of Mike Alessi, one of the best starters, if not the best, that we've ever seen come through the ranks. There is Ryan Dungey. Does not have the red background on his number plate anymore. Switching to the white because he is no longer sharing the points lead in this series. Chad Reed has the red. He's the points leader. Let's go racing at High Point.
Couple of riders outside of just out of the gate went down. Another rider on the outside.
Hits a fence. That might have been Craig. Meanwhile, white plate and all, Ryan Dungey seizes the lead. He's got the 14 to Weimer and the number 2 Villopoto behind him. Mistake by Dungey. Villopoto to the lead instantly.
Yeah, it looked like Dungey hit that rut, and possibly the mud knocked his bike out of gear, and he slams it back in gear with his left heel. But that's going to allow Ryan Villopoto. This is the type of start that he needed to get this championship chase back on the right track for him.
Look at Alessi starting 4th and going after Windham. So the 800 going to try to put the KTM into 3rd, and he does. Nice comeback here for Alessi. Not the patented Alessi hole shot, but a good start nonetheless.
And already you can see the roost You'll notice here today that guys are going to zigzag, kind of get out of the way of the rider in front of them. See Wyndham choosing a different line because this roost, I'm telling you, it blasts you, and it will practically knock you off the bike at times if you get that big burst.
Well, Wyndham got
really
one first. Alessi is crisscrossed down the hill. Villopoto trying to get away. Dungey second. Alessi, there he is on the number 800 in third, riding the 450cc KTM this year. Ran the smaller 350cc bike last year. Going back to the 450. And this is really his first chance to show us what he has on it, since he hasn't raced so far this year.
I'm surprised that Alessi got the start that he did, because it looked like there were a number of riders that actually jumped the gate, or maybe the gate malfunction. Look right in this area here, and watch when the gate drops. Wow. Alessi actually got over the gate, and I'm sorry, it was the other rider about 4 to the inside that looped out off the start. So that makes me think, Jason, that the gate might have flinched and the riders went, a rider like Mike Alessi, and hit the front wheel on his way across the gate because the gate wasn't down yet.
So there is Alessi in third, Wyndham in fourth. We've got a battle on our hands. Christian Craig apparently did not go down in the first turn. He just made a move, and I think he has put himself into the number 5 spot, battling it out with Ricky Dietrich. Villopoto not even in your shot right now because he has taken off. Alessi, Wyndham still battling for third and fourth, hooking back onto the start straight.
Yeah, this is one of those sections where if the guy in front of you is on the inside, the roost is going to the outside, and you can't get any further to the inside. And it's tough. It hurts going through there, I'm telling you.
Aaron, what do you have on Ryan Dungey?
Well, if you guys notice, he put his hand up and he was trying to wave to get the AMA officials' attention to try to wait for the race to go, but considering live TV, they have to let it go. It was nothing mechanical. What ended up happening, it was the bolt broke in the middle of his visor, so the visor is actually flapping down in his eyes right now. We'll see if it holds him back whatsoever.
Oh, you can see that, Jeff. It's pointed straight up.
Yeah, look at his visor here, this tight shot. See how high the visor is? You can see his name, Dungey, under there, the vents and all that, and you normally can't see that, so that visor's tipped all the way up on that helmet.
Maybe he just wanted to make sure.
Too often.
He just wanted to make sure we could tell what his name was. Let's show that logo off. He's running in second, but Villopoto putting a little distance on already in the first lap, about 3.5 seconds. This is the kind of speed we expected from Villopoto. Here's Dungey on the one, trying to run him down.
Yeah, and back to that visor thing, the riders typically run it pretty high, but as you can see right now, it's extremely high. And what that'll do is, if he was able to close up on the back of Villopoto, you actually use your visor, you dip your head to keep the roost from hitting your goggles and also from hitting you in the chest and neck area. And with that higher, it's not going to be as effective as what it would be. But we're talking, small difference.
All right, Jeff, big difference here for Ryan Villopoto from rounds 1 and 2 and what we're seeing early here at High Point. He did actually lead a few laps at our opener in California, but he didn't open up a lead like this. This is impressive for only a lap and a half.
Well, you get to start here, and you can see how, if you watch the first 2 rounds, you know that it's just been bumpity bump all the way through, right? And you can see there's a lot of man-made obstacles here, but for all of these bumps were man-made. For the most part, the track is just smooth and fast right now. So a guy like Villopoto can use his technique, get out there, ride a clean race, and he's, the chassis setup might not be as critical for this moto, at least at the start here, than what it might be later on when the track gets rough.
So the rest of the top 5 go by. That includes Alessi third, Wyndham fourth on the 14, the 144 of Craig in fifth. And we got a battle behind that. Chad Reed, our series points leader, we finally found him. You'll see him here in a moment, going after Jake Weimer for the number 6 spot. There's Weimer on the green bike, the 32, and there is Reed on the TwoTwo Motorsports Honda, 6th. Not where Reed wants to be early on. In fact, actually challenging Weimer for 6th. They were side by side for a moment. So Reed's got some work to do, Jeff.
Well, and that's the thing, as you can see on the back of Reed's jersey, Reed actually is running the red 2-2 on the back of his jersey, which signifies the points leader. So taking it to the next level, that he is the points leader. But he's going to have to make some moves. And right now, he needs to get comfortable, start to find some new lines, find some passing places on the track, and try not to take that roost, because it really defeats you mentally by getting roosted constantly. Okay, so you got to find these lines to see how he went inside, outside, and he'll go back across right here if he gets the opportunity. And right there, he was riding on the edge of the line, if you will. He wasn't, there's kind of a groove and if you get too far outside, it's still wet and soggy in those spots, but Chad really riding the edges there.
And the 18 of Davi Millsaps, Muscle Milk Toyota Yamaha, he has hitched a ride with Reed to the front. And they're both going to challenge Weimer now. There's Weimer, Reed, Millsaps. That is 6th, 7th, and 8th.
Millsaps had such a fantastic ride at round 2, and this is going to be quite a bit different track here. It's not going to be as physical and rough as it was, so have to rely more on technique and speed. Millsaps is, plenty capable of that. He qualified 7th here today, but not getting the start. And we heard some of the riders talking about how important the gate was here to get out of the first turn, and these riders are going to be battling it the whole time.
Talked to the suspension guru Johnny O there for the Joe Gibbs Racing team that Millsaps rides for, and they said that on this track they soften up the front suspension and then they had to soften the back to match it, so the bike riding a little lower than it would at some of the other tracks. There's Ricky Dietrich. We mentioned him a couple times this year, the converted off-roader. Used to ride in the desert, the rocks, the hills. Now racing motocross and doing a great job. Top 10 right now in 9th.
Well, it was, it was interesting, the conversation we had with him, Jason, about how he said, I cannot wait to get to Southwick, where it's sandy and rough and all that. So for Ricky, this may be the type of track that is more challenging for him than the rougher tracks. And so he's going to have to learn as they go each moto, trust the technicians and everybody on the team to help him with the bike setup and really get it dialed in. But so far, so good, running inside the top 10.
And you've got Andrew Short putting pressure on him from the number 10 spot, and Brett Metcalfe on the Suzuki behind them. You can just see the yellow fender popping through in 11th. You're about to drop down into the valley of this track.
Man, and how about the blast of mud that Andrew Short took right there, coming down that first off camber.
And Short's going to tuck it inside, and then Dietrich actually cut it a little bit tighter to make sure Short could not make the pass.
Watch the rider's body language. You can tell with Short, he has ducked his head and turned his head to the side 2 or 3 times here just since we've had him on camera.
And he is right in the kill zone there from that roost, right behind that rear wheel. Rocks, mud, everything else being thrown his way.
Let's see if he can use the inside. Not quite quick enough, but Andrew Short, of course, riding the KTM 350 and a little less power and stuff, and so he's going to have to find different passing spots.
No one finding a passing spot around Ryan Villopoto right now. He is pulling away early at High Point. Stay with us.
Chaos, the daily half.
Got some great racing going on here. Fuel TV's live coverage. Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Racing from Pennsylvania. Chad Reed on the red bike with the red number, able to get around the 144 of Christian Craig. So that will move Reed, your series points leader, one step further. Davi Millsaps been following Reed through traffic all day long, and he makes the move around Craig as well. So Jake Weimer just out of the shot. He is 5th. Reed is 6th. Then it is Millsaps 7th, and then Craig pushed back to 8th. Jeff Emig, take us through this pass.
Watch the left side here as Reed goes to the inside of Craig. Craig makes a little mistake, loses his drive, and you can tell right here Reed was like, I'm doing whatever it takes to get past because I've been following this guy. I'm definitely faster than him, and just was really taking some roots. You can see now that they have passed Craig, he's dropped back a few bike lengths. Millsaps was able to capitalize on that and move past very quickly too. So for Christian Craig, needs to stay confident, not lose his focus right now, try to learn these riders' lines here because they got a little bit more speed than he has.
Weimer's done a good job quietly. There he is on the green bike, has come through this. He had Reed on his rear wheels a couple of laps ago, but he was able to get through Craig and then open up some distance while Reed struggled to make that pass. So we'll see if Reed can hit the reset button and go after Weimer again, try to get into the top 5. Here's Millsaps right behind that battle.
Yeah, and see those jump sections that they have through there, rhythm sections, uphill, then uphill triple here where Craig's at right now. You hammer the throttle, get on it, and then they've also added some drop-offs. And then you come, this is one of my favorite sections. There's an off-camber turn right here, and so you're trying to turn the bike left, but the track is falling away to the right. So it's really important that you put weight on the right peg, the outside peg. Even though you can't necessarily see it with the riders, they're very, lightly adding pressure to the right peg to help get traction in the tires.
I'm going to assume that whatever this guy's doing, he's doing it the right way. Ryan Villopoto, 8.2-second advantage. You see the countdown clock at the top of the screen. It's a 30-minute moto, so we're not even quite to the halfway point. But I think it's safe to say we've got a different Ryan Villopoto on our hands. I know it's early in the race, early in the weekend, but this is some serious speed from the number 2, more of the type of riding we expected coming into this year.
Yeah, and it appeared to me at the first 2 rounds that Ryan just could not get comfortable. Now, at Freestone, he had a good qualifying lap, but in the races, just was not clicking with the motorcycle. Since then, we've had the weekend off. He's had the opportunity to possibly test, to possibly recover, rest some, get his thoughts together, and get the mojo working, like I like to say, and he's flying. I mean, they are way out front right now. Alessi's a good 28 seconds behind Dungey.
Now we're going to try to find the third place battle. You have Mike Alessi and Kevin Windham. There they are. Alessi on the 800, the orange bike. Had a little pressure from Windham about a lap ago and has extended it just a little bit, probably about 10 bike lengths between them.
Look at that hip jump. That double is massive right there.
That's like something you guys find out in the hills for fun. And they put it on a racetrack, right?
Yeah.
And Windham has been back and forth between these two. They're at different stages of the season right now. At the beginning of our show, Windham said he's probably going to race next week in Maryland, and that'll be it for him this summer. He's really only a replacement rider for a couple of Honda boys who are injured, Trey Canard and Josh Grant. As for Alessi, this is his first race of the year, and he hopes to be a factor by the time this season is over, trying to win some of these. Here is Weimer, Reed closing the gap on him.
Well, he's starting to close up, trying some different lines, but you can see as you get into that inside rut, I mean, the bumps are huge in there. You've seen his TwoTwo Motorsports Honda just bouncing around, and it's these type of sections, once again, where you're trying to stay out of the line. See how he cut real tight? And then he'll zigzag back across to the left to try to stay out of the roost in front of you. I mean, it just cannot be underestimated what effect that has on the rider. And so this is why you got to find some fast lines and try to be quicker than the rider in different spots, and remember that for next lap around. And if you say, okay, this is my passing spot, you really have to close up on the back of the rider. Okay, and you may have to suck it up for a couple of turns so that you're close once you get to that passing spot next lap around. But so, right now, Weimer, I mean, I don't want to take anything away from his ride. He's putting on the best ride here that we've seen this year, and he looks really comfortable.
Weimer, this is his first year in this 450 division, and here is Reed putting pressure on. Aaron, what do you have on the 32, Jake Weimer?
Well, guys, some riders took some time off. Jake Weimer did not take any time off during the break. In fact, he said he rode more than normal. He did train. They did a lot of testing on the suspension settings. He said they made some major gains, so he's really happy with what came about at the practice track. This is where he got his first outdoor podium as well in 2008, so he said mentally coming in here, he looks forward to it. It's definitely a boost for his confidence.
Well, you can tell that his confidence is up, and as a team, you know, Monster Energy Kawasaki definitely having a good day with both riders, but he's got his hands full with the rider who has been on fire all season long.
Reed gonna try it, gonna be the outside for this hip jump. Switches back to the inside, they're in the same spot. Oh, Reed came up short, that's gonna hurt. And then finds the low line, still can't make the pass. Man, and then another face full of roost. Back to Reed.
Yeah, and there's some of these lines, like right here, you just funnel into the main line, and there really is no way to get out of that. Now, watch, see, Reed went through a bunch of slop right there, thinking that Jake would be more to the right, he could stay to the left. It just didn't work out that way. The track still has got some soft spots from earlier today in practice where it just hasn't dried up. And Chad Reed is testing all of those spots out. And remember, in the second moto at Freestone, Chad tried some of these new lines, ended up sticking it in that soft dirt and going down.
Aaron, what do you have on Chad Reed and his bike setup?
Chad's extremely happy with his bike setup today, but his mechanic, Lars Lindstrom, he said the only thing that they've been playing with throughout the day is tires, trying to find any additional traction. But the problem is, with this track here at High Point, it changes so much throughout the day. It's extremely slippery, but yet it's hard packed underneath. These guys are trying to find that perfect medium, and as long as the rain holds off, so far Chad Reed said he likes the tire. We'll see what he says after this moto.
Well, and it's interesting, I spoke with fellow Australian rider Michael Byrne, who is running 12th in this moto, and I took a look at his bike. I said, okay, what tire choice you're going with? Now, are you going to go with a big, knobby sand mud tire for the start, which you have to get to start, or a tighter, knobby pattern with more edges to work on that works good on the track? It's a balance, and he says, I'm taking the risk, and I'm going with the soft terrain tire with the big knobs for the start.
And Byrne, I got a decent start. He's 12th right now. Millsaps, Weimer, Reed. Great battle here, going for a piece of the top 5. Fans are fired up watching this one. Stay with us.
Since I was a kid, I've been fascinated with bikes.
Watch the best Kung Fu cult classic films only on Fuel TV. Next Saturday, it's the premiere of Executioners from Shaolin, late night at 11 p.m. Eastern and Pacific.
I'm not going to miss that.
No, it's perfect. We'll have a race in Maryland, and then Saturday night when we're done, check that out. Reed put pressure on Weimer, but seems like he has about a lap or so of attack, and then hangs back a little bit. Is that the roost? Is that the lines? Is that the pace? What's the strategy here for Reed?
I'm going to give her credit where credit's due, and Jake Weimer, he's riding fantastic. 2:14.5 right there. You see Reed has the ability to go a little bit quicker, but Jake has just been strong, and I believe that they're catching up to Wyndham a little bit here too. He's just about 3 seconds out.
And then Wyndham about 3 seconds away from Alessi. So any of these riders you're looking at, Weimer on the green bike, the red machine of Reed, and then the blue of Millsaps, they have a chance to go for the podium. You got Alessi 3rd, there's Wyndham in 4th in the 14, and here comes that trio. Looks like another attack from Reed here.
Yeah, and as the moto goes on, Jason, we have 8 minutes plus a couple laps left. You see now, physical fitness is coming in, belief. All of a sudden, Chad's starting to get his lines down here. They're going to hit some lapped riders. If I'm Chad Reed, I'm thinking podium. I need that 3rd, and it's time to wick it up. And he has had the ability so far in this championship that if he wants to drop his lap time and just really lay it down and put a hot lap in, he can do that.
Well, Reed knew he had a problem last year when he would get to this point of the moto where he normally is at his best and is able to overcome riders who are starting to get fatigued. Last year, he just didn't have that punch, and he felt something was wrong. It took about 8 races into the series where he realized it was a serious medical problem. He had chronic fatigue syndrome, Epstein-Barr, dropped out of the series to heal up. It's a totally different rider this year.
Well, he's about to get a punch, and he definitely has a problem here because just as he's trying to put the move on Weimer, Millsaps is on the gas right now.
Yeah.
The muscle milk is kicking in, right?
And Reed's leading the series, so if you're Millsaps, you make a pass on him. This is a serious step forward. Millsaps all the way on the outside there. Now, I talked to one of the team managers after practice, and they say you got, pardon my English here, but he said there's 2 lines on the track. You have the middle of the track, that's the good dirt, and the outside of the track, which is like riding through snot. That's the problem when you try to make passes on this track. I'm just quoting one of the team managers, but that's where Millsaps has to go right now to make passes.
Yeah, but Millsaps has an advantage on the other riders right now. He's one of the few riders that, see the white hand guards on his handlebars right there? In this situation, when you get hit with the roost and the rocks and stuff on your hands, what we've been talking about this whole moto, if you have those hand guards on, it really deflects that. And so it takes some of that sting and that ouch away, so it will allow him to close up on the back of a rider, ride in the fast line for a bit if he has to, and it just basically won't hurt his back.
Well, then I got to ask, why isn't everyone running them?
I don't know.
Really? Is it a style, superstition, not comfortable thing? Like,
I don't know.
Is there a function?
Personally, there were times where I said, look, I'm going to get the whole shot. Don't even worry about putting those things on.
Really?
But there was so, hey, in that defense, it might be a little cocky right now, but I'm telling you, there were also some days, you know, where I'm like J-Bone or Steve, whoever my mechanic was, you better put the guards on because I'm not feeling it today, and I'm just hoping for a top 10.
Well, your old mechanic J-Bone is now the team manager for Millsaps.
Jeremy Albrecht.
Jeremy Albrecht, and he said, "You're running those handguards, like it or not." And this is impressive. Millsaps is actually closer to Reed now than Reed is to Weimer. Weimer's going after Wyndham. It's a 4-rider battle for the number 4 spot.
Yeah, and earlier in the moto, we talked about his bike, how they softened up the front suspension, had to soften the rear because of it. You look at both. Uh-oh, here we go.
Oh, to the inside, a mistake by Reed. I don't know if Millsaps is ready to attack right there, but he's got the opportunity. Gonna have a left-hand sweeper and then another one of those off-camber turns. See the track leans one way and the turn goes the other.
Yellow flags, we've got a lapped rider down, all 3 riders clean. Let's see if Millsaps gets back to the inside.
He did, not quite enough running room to make the pass there. Now we're gonna jump downhill. Really easy to go too fast down through this section and not make the corner. Millsaps, here he goes, Jeff.
Maybe around the outside. It was a little wetter line, but right now he's going to have to funnel right back in. But he really is charging hard. He has got aggressive. He's trying to make the move here on Reed. Let's see if he cuts to the inside. It's a nice smooth line, but not enough. More lapped riders for Weimer.
And Weimer, oh, Weimer sideways and off the racetrack and down. Almost had the line to make the pass on Wyndham on the 14. Not a hard crash, but with the pack being that, oh, he was going into a wall.
Yeah, he actually angled it into the wall there, but they were trying to get past the lapped rider. Him and Wyndham were both in the line. Still a great ride for Weimer, just a big mistake. He's going to be a little bit disappointed. And let's go back and take a look at this. See, there's the lapped rider, and oh, he comes up a little short. Gets a little swap right there and just gently lays it down into the embankment. One more look. It could have, if he had high-sided and his weight gone forward, that's when you really get slapped down. Plus, there was another jump in his way, so most of the time the rider makes a sudden stop, and that doesn't feel too good.
Man, Weimer was leading Reed and Millsaps most of this race, only a few minutes to go, and then loses the spot. And in the meantime, Millsaps has made the pass on Chad Reed. Couple of stories when you watch there. A, the struggle for Reed, who had won the last 3 motos of this tour, and the sudden charge of Davi Millsaps, who just jumped clear across the racetrack, trying to get an inside line on Wyndham.
I'm telling you, we talk about Wyndham being silky smooth, but right now, Millsaps has got the mojo working, and you watch how he's scrubbing the jumps, triples in, gets on the brakes, still hits the corner and exits to the inside. Look he is just manualing it.
These are not even areas you normally see passes made, and he's made 2 of them.
Okay, remember what I talked about earlier about weighting the outside peg and really forcing your weight into that outside of the bike to dig the tires in. That's a technique that both Wyndham and Millsaps are extremely good at, of using their leverage and their bodies that way. And on those off cambers, when he made the pass, I mean, that's exactly what he did. He just dug in the tires on that Yamaha and just drew a tighter line than Wyndham could hold.
So Millsaps on the 18 is in 4th. Wyndham on the 14 is 5th. Reed on the 22 is 6th. And it's getting desperation time now for Reed, who's got to make up some ground to make up some points. As Ryan Dungey and Ryan Villopoto, guys he's battling for this championship, are getting away from him. There goes Reed to the inside on Wyndham, and he makes the pass. That was the same spot where Weimer went down the last time around.
Well, urgency set in. Chad Reed, 22. He is still battling here on this red Honda.
But Ryan Villopoto checking out. We're about 2 minutes away from the 2-lap warning here at High Point. I don't know if anyone's going to stop Villopoto today. Coverage of the High Point National, brought to you by Rockstar Energy Drink. Lots of ups and downs on this track in Pennsylvania, and that's kind of the way this series has gone for Villopoto. Coming into the year, everyone thought, well, here's your favorite. He just won the indoor Supercross title. Whenever he's been healthy outdoors, he's won a championship. So he came in on an up note. Not quite the performances he wanted through the first 2 rounds with a couple of 3rd-place finishes. But he has rebounded today, and he is back up front.
Yeah, he just didn't look like himself those first 2 rounds. Heard that he was sick a bit, fighting illness, trying to recover. And when you start the championship off with a couple of really physical tracks, hot conditions, it's really hard to recover. But it's obvious with last weekend off that Villopoto has done that, and he is fired up here.
Go back to Davi Millsaps here in the number 18. Muscle Milk Toyota Yamaha. He has pulled away again from Chad Reed. Millsaps is in 4th. In front of him is Mike Alessi, Ryan Dungey, and Villopoto, who you saw our leader. Chad Reed, 5th. And that's not where Chad Reed, the series leader, wants to be. He's got to at least be on the podium in these motos. And would like to, of course, be winning them. But that's going to be tough. Villopoto is on his game today. Dungey 2nd. Had a little bit of a problem with the equipment, not the bike, but his helmet visor early in this moto. Still going to try to hang on for a 2nd place finish. And Alessi, we haven't talked much about him. He is in 3rd in his first race of the year after knocking himself out at your opener in California a couple of weeks ago. But Villopoto, this is the real comeback story right now. And at the beginning of our day, we were talking with the staff about, what would be the story. And we said, you really got to watch Villopoto race to know what the story is going to be. If he has another distant 3rd place finish, you're going to have to start wondering, is he below par? Is he not up to speed? But that's apparently not the story. He's back up to speed. And the 5:39 going a lap down. That was Ricky Dietrich, who was 5th. early in this race, Jeff.
Yeah, definitely having some sort of problem. Dietrich's running back in 15th, but as you can see from Villopoto, when you're on, you're on. You're just, it seems like you're just always in the right gear. You've got the RPMs right. You just hit every jump perfect. And this is, Ryan's going to come off the track and go, yeah, that was a pretty easy race. No big deal.
Would he even be tired riding like this?
Probably not. I mean, physical conditioning, he's in as good a shape as anyone out there, and he has an efficient technique, okay? So in setting the fastest lap times and leading this race by 8.7 seconds, he gets into a groove where he does it with relative ease, and that's what's important about your technique and everything in motocross, is that you have 2 motos throughout the day. So you don't want to just go for broke in the first race, tire yourself out to where your energy levels are depleted and you have nothing left for the second moto. So it's a real combination of knowing how to manage both motos, and right now he's managing the competition with relative ease.
Talked to his trainer, Alden Baker, and they said at Hangtown, Villopoto was so sick that in between the motos, trying to recover, he had to sleep and get in bed with a duvet cover over him because he was chilled that bad. He was running a high fever, so as soon as the race were over, he would have to get a blanket on him, even though it was about 80 degrees that day. He's obviously feeling a lot better now.
Well, and we do have a beautiful day of racing here, southern Pennsylvania, and there were some threatening thunderstorms in the area earlier. Sun's out, thousands of fans here. It's been a great day. Everyone seems to be really excited, as we are here. But you just never know what Mother Nature's going to get you here. Second moto will be about 2.5, 3 hours away after the finish of this.
Yeah, things can change in a hurry. We had some great weather here yesterday, and then the same thing. All of a sudden, clouds rolled in, and we had a deluge for about 20 minutes. So that can change everything quickly. Villopoto, I'm sure, would like to just replicate these conditions because clearly they're working for him.
Yeah, and you talk about changing quickly. I mean, they had last race, Villopoto was just really off of his game.
Right.
Did not look like he was working with the bike together. Just that chemistry was off, but he looks great on the bike. He looks fast, and this is going to be a huge confidence boost for the number 2.
Pretty big points deficit for Villopoto behind Reed right now, but if he keeps riding like this, he can make up some ground. Ryan Villopoto wins his first moto of 2011 in the first moto at High Point Raceway, and I think you just see that sense of relief right there. He's finally back in the type of condition that he expected to be in right at the beginning of the year. There are Ryan Villopoto fans out here. They haven't got to see this guy race in the last couple of years in Pennsylvania due to injury, so they're just glad to see him back.
Was that the situation in there?
Really? Not enough tattoos. It's about as close as we come to the Jersey Shore.
What a ride, though. This is a great feeling because, okay, like you said, sigh of relief, feel good now. He's going to get together with his mechanic and the technicians, everybody on the team, and try to figure out, say, okay, can we make some improvements? We've won this one, but we need to be better yet.
All right, then you got Ryan Dungey just cruised into the Rockstar Energy tent. He'll try to cool off and do the same thing with his mechanic and team, figure out where they can improve for Moto 2, find a way to go after the number 2 in Moto 2. Meanwhile, we'll talk to the winner of Moto 1 when we return.
Yeah, that's right. I mean,
welcome back, Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship from High Point, Pennsylvania, Rockstar Energy Drink National. We just completed our first moto here today. We'll give you the Lucas Oil race recap to give you an idea of exactly how this broke down. Watch the start. One of the riders, Mike Alessi, got a great jump, or maybe too great of a jump. Get to that later. Ryan Dungey's going to get the whole shot, bunch of riders down, Jeff.
Riders down, but when they came around, it was Villopoto with the lead, and his teammate here, Jake Weimer, goes down, gives up a couple of spots right here, but does not go down hard.
Yeah, Chad Reed had a bad start. It took a while to get going. Your series point leader was struggling just to get into the top 5. He makes a move on Kevin Windham late to do that. But Ryan Villopoto stole the lead from Dungey early and just checked out from there. He wins by 8.5 seconds. I don't think it's too early to say that Ryan Villopoto is back on the pace we expected him to be on at the beginning of the year. Let's send it down to Aaron Bates, who has Ryan Villopoto. Aaron?
I think that's considered a night and day difference for Ryan Villopoto. Ryan, from the first 2 rounds that we saw you at, what was it that you worked on during your break to come out swinging the way you did this first moto?
Just we did a lot of testing this last week before this weekend with the shock, just getting it dialed in. We didn't have a whole lot of time to do that right after Supercross, so we did that, hypo. came down to Florida, we got it dialed in. So just did that, did my motos, and I just can't thank everybody at Monster Energy Kawasaki, Dunlop for the great tires, Parts Unlimited, Thor, Alpha-Star, Oakley, Falcon Tires, Volcom, Vans, just everybody, thank you.
Great job of making it back up here on the box.
Kaipo is the suspension engineer there for Kawasaki, and apparently he did his job right. Then Villopoto just rode the bike to victory lane. We'll have more from High Point when we come back. Western Pennsylvania's High Point Raceway, Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship, live coverage on Fuel TV. Let's show you the results of the first moto, and this is unofficial. Mike Alessi, they determined he jumped the starting gate, and they're still reviewing that. So right now they put Davi Millsaps up to third and pushed Alessi back to fourth. Of course, it's unofficial. They could change it back. We don't know yet. Reed fifth, not where he wanted to be, and the man to watch here in this one, Tommy Hahn. That's a solid run, Jeff.
Solid run. He had to work his way up from about a 15th place start, but inside the top 10.
Give you 11 through 20. Andrew Short was battling for a top 10 spot, ends up in 11th, and Ricky Dietrich, who was battling for a top 5 early, finishes in 17th. Roll 21 through 30, and here's the rest of the field. Corey Green, Jeff Gibson, a couple of arena cross guys trying some motocross today. 31st and 32nd. Let's send it down to Aaron Bates, who has Ryan Dungey, our runner-up.
Ryan Dungey experiences problems before the gate even drops. Ryan, you were having issues with your visor out there. How much did that affect your run?
A little bit, my visor, the bolt came out of the top, it ended up breaking, and when there's nothing in the middle, the wind catches it, and the speeds these days are so fast, but no excuses, got up to a pretty good start, and rode some good laps, came in second, but I think I make a few little changes for the second moto. Team Rockstar, Miki Suzuki running great, and I'm excited, it'll be good.
Great job during Moto 1, best of luck Moto 2.
Okay, now also on the podium is Mike Alessi, because he did cross the line in third place, but Jeff will give a replay here and take us through exactly what happened. Alessi's known for his great reaction times off the start, but this one might have been too good.
Yeah, watch the left of your screen right here. The gate didn't look like it flinched. It just looked like that he left a little early, and he actually ripped the gate off. And because what happens when this horseshoe flies up right there and it catches on the forks, he just ripped it all the way off.
All right, let's send it down to Aaron with the number 800. Aaron?
I just informed Mike Alessi of what took place, but Mikey did get docked that position from jumping the gate. But what a start it was, taking the start gate with you. How are you feeling coming back, and what does this do for your confidence, knowing that you have the speed to run with these guys your first race back?
Yeah, it feels good. I just want to have a good second moto. Like I said, I'm sure they're showing the replay from my crash at Hangtown in practice. It was pretty bad, and I'm just lucky to be safe and not injured and not worse. Maybe killed. I mean, I'm just glad to be here and representing my sponsors, Red Bull, KTM, and all the sponsors that I have, Aero, Alpine Star Gear, X-Brown Goggles, Rockwell watches, and just all my doctors back home, and just everybody who's been able to get me back into racing shape and back here at the races and doing what I love to do and being here to put on a great show for the fans. Thank you again.
Do you still have anything left in you to go after these guys for Moto number 2?
I hope so. I just got to get a start. The first couple laps I got arm pump, and I needed to settle into a pace, and that's what I did. I didn't want to ride over my head. Roger told me before the race, just ride my pace. If guys are faster, they're gonna get around you, so just ride your own pace, and that's what I did. And luckily ended up third, but I guess I got docked because of the start. It's misfortune that happened, but I just want to thank all the fans again, and I look forward to battling with the best racers in the world, the second moto, and doing the best I can.
Congratulations on a great comeback ride.
Big talk, big sports, big tunes. Daily Habit is the wildest late-night party on television. Weeknights, 11 p.m. Eastern and Pacific, only on Fuel TV. Again, that is still unofficial as far as Alessi definitely getting penalized. We'll try to find out later in the show. We will have a 250 moto coming up next, so we might have a little time to investigate that. Right now, they're showing us with Davi Millsaps in third. Through 40 years of motocross in America, this track along the Pennsylvania-West Virginia state line has created its share of history. Great champions have carved their names into motocross history by winning at High Point Raceway. Pennsylvania's own Tony DiStefano, Honda's superstar Rick Johnson, the beast from the East, Damon Bradshaw, and the greatest of all time, Ricky Carmichael. For the 35th time, history will be made as the greatest dirt bike riders in the world come to Mount Morris, Pennsylvania. This is the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship. Ally on NBC presents the best in action sports. Today, it's the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship. We're in the rolling hills of southwestern Pennsylvania for round 3 of the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship. It's the 35th annual Rockstar Energy Drink High Point Raceway National. Hello everyone and welcome to Ally Sports coverage of AMA Pro Motocross. Jason Weimer here, your host. And in front of me, behind me, around me, a huge crowd gathered to see the best dirt bike riders in the world do battle on one of the sport's most treacherous racetracks. We'll give you an idea what the series has had happen thus far as we show you the series point standings. It's dominated right now by the veteran from Australia, Chad Reed. Meanwhile, his chief competitors, Ryan Villopoto, Davi Millsaps, Ryan Dungey, Brett Metcalfe, have all had up and down series already with some bad luck here and there. So a big question, can Reed keep the momentum going, or is this racetrack, which has led to a lot of drama in the past, about to unfold some more history? For more on that, let's send it to Chad Reed's pits with four-time AMA National Motocross champ, Jeff Emig.
Chad Reed has built his points lead with 2 overall wins. And Chad, what's it going to take here at High Point to keep that train rolling and keep the red plate?
Hopefully the same thing, you know. High Point's been great to me. It was my first ever lights win, my first ever 450 win. So, yeah, just try to keep the ball rolling. I kind of feel like I'm tied on points right now. You know, I think Dungey had a really bad luck in Texas, and I just want to bring it every weekend, you know, just leave the race, win or lose, knowing that I brought it, you know, everything that I had, gave it all I had, and rode the best that I could. And so far, I'm just having so much fun because I'm riding to my ability, and that's as a racer, that's all you want to ask from yourself.
And for more on the reigning champ, let's go to Tiffany Simons.
Ryan, back at Freestone, in that second moto, you had a little bit of trouble with your bike, and not only cost you the win, but also valuable points. Now that you've had a week off, where's your head at, and what adjustments has your team made?
Well, I think Freestone was just an unfortunate deal. You know, it happened, and you know, I guess all the guys, we worked hard. You know, they're going to make sure it don't happen again, and nobody's fault. You know, it just happens. But had a good weekend off. Got to enjoy some time and work on some things that we needed to improve. But absolutely, got here at High Point. Just looking forward to getting out there. Last year was fun, and always look forward to coming back here. So we got a strong team, solid setup, and feeling pretty good. So looking forward to it.
Good luck to you today.
Thank you.
Now let's go over to Jamie Bestwick.
We're here in the Monster Kawasaki pits with the number 2, Ryan Villopoto, coming off a fantastic Supercross season. After a 2-year absence, Ryan's here at the AMA Outdoor Nationals. Ryan, how are you feeling this weekend at High Point?
Yeah, I feel good. With the weekend off, got some time under our belt on the bike, did some testing, got that better. So, you know, I'm just looking forward to hitting these races that I missed the last 2 years and, you know, looking for a win.
All right, after a subdued start in the first 2 rounds, look for Ryan Villopoto to be charging hard here at High Point, PA.
Well, the riders, bikes, teams, they are prepped for what should be a great day of racing today in Mount Morris, Pennsylvania. Stay with us for coverage of the Rockstar Energy Drink High Point National. Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championships are brought to you by Lucas Oil. Lucas Oil, made in America, sold to the world. By Toyota, the 2011 Toyota Tundra, one of the most capable half-tons ever. By the Air National Guard. You can learn more at goang.com. And by Rockstar. Rockstar Energy Drink, available in 18 flavors and 19 countries. We're back with coverage. Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship. The riders are getting ready for the moto as they take their warm-up lap in the mud. The rain has come down. We've also already completed one race today. We'll explain that with our motocross 411. We race 2 motos every weekend in this AMA Pro Motocross Championship. We total up the scores from both of those races to determine an overall winner. Last year, Ryan Dungey got a big leg up on his championship run by winning this race, and he's going to have to rebound after finishing second in a moto earlier today, but we'll get to more of that in a moment. Right now, let's just focus on this racetrack. Jeff Emig, give us an idea of what High Point has in store for these riders.
Well, let's take a look at the track map here. Got a really deep, loamy uphill start. Gonna need the horsepower. As you've seen on that opening shot, we've had a little bit of weather, some rain come down, so it's gonna make a track that's some pretty hard packed clay, gonna make it really slippery and hard and sloppy here for Moto 2. A lot of elevation changes up and down, some off-camber turns where that extra rain is really going to make it tough. Riders going to have to rely on their technique. Back behind the start, triple uphill, and let's go on board.
Ricky Dietrich here, going to show us the fast way around the track, but it looks dry right now.
Yeah, this is earlier today in qualifying practice, but this gives you a sense of what the lines are like on the track. Uphill triple, he goes 2-1, so he can nail the inside start. Inside corner. This is actually the first turn area. So as the riders come off the start, they're going to be taking a lot of roost. So getting this hole shot in Moto 2 as you come through this section is going to be really critical, because there's going to be a lot of mud, a lot of water, everything start to load up on your helmet visor, on your goggles, on the front of your bike, and weigh the bike down. Ricky here going through Lomi's section. Going to have a little knowledge here for what the second moto is going to be like. And this is one of those off-camber turns where if you can get into a rut, you're definitely going to be dialed in.
As we mentioned, we do have one moto already completed here today. We'll show you the highlights of that in just a moment, and that's the key in motocross. You must be consistent in not one but two races and in varied conditions. We didn't have any rain or mud to deal with in the first moto earlier today, and we'll show you the highlights of that in our Lucas Oil race recap. Off the start, Mike Alessi actually jumps through the gate. A couple riders down. Ryan Dungey steals the early lead. But Ryan Villopoto did not mess around. He immediately snagged the #1 spot from Dungey and took off, Jeff.
Yeah, he was flying. He rode efficient and fast. Dungey here chased him, but just could not catch him. I still think that Dungey in second. This moto's got a great shot for the overall.
Meanwhile, Chad Reed, your series leader, struggling, just trying to get into the top 5, battling it out here with Jake Weimer to get into 5th. Weimer would run into his trouble when under pressure. And Davi Millsaps closing in.
Yeah, and actually Reed in the first moto got hit with a rock in his left collarbone, and that really set him back. He struggled because of that, but man, watch Weimer here as he almost loses the Kawasaki, lays it down into the embankment.
Reed was able to get past Weimer there and then go after Kevin Windham to get into 4th. But he would still have to deal with Millsaps down the stretch of that race. So not the ride that Chad Reed wanted after winning the first 2 rounds of the year. The guy who did win, this rider, Ryan Villopoto, rebounding with a huge first moto win today. So that puts him in good position as we head to moto number 2. Jamie Bestwick, you were out there watching that one. Pretty impressive what Ryan Villopoto is able to do. First, we show you the results. Villopoto, Dungey, Millsaps. Mike Alessi, first race back in the Tour, crossed the line in 3rd, but after jumping to start, they pushed him back to 4th. There's the rest of the top 10. But how about that performance, Jamie, from Ryan Villopoto?
You know, just interviewing him this afternoon, he had a different frame of mind. You know, a lot of people said coming into this series, he had a lot on his mind after winning Supercross this year, which is a big deal. And then coming to the first 2 races, trying to make it happen, it just didn't pan through for him. But today, super focused, and that's what he needed to get back in the hunt for this championship.
How much can you change on the bike, Jeff, between the motos? We went from a dry racetrack to what's going to be a muddy and slippery one, and now it looks like the sun's beginning to come back.
Yeah, well, the big thing here, look at Villopoto's goggles right there. He's got tear-offs on the left side, on the right side, plus a roll-off system. So really prepared for all this wet, muddy condition that we're going to have.
All right, so explain how that works, the tear-off and the roll-off. They're 2 different goggle products.
Tear-off will clear all of the lens. A roll-off is a strip that goes all the way across, but you've got upwards of 100 pulls.
I see.
Now, a rider's only going to put, the most you probably put on is about 20 tear-offs, but, you know, before you start to lose the vision because of all of the layers of that clear Lexan.
All right, folks, the 30-second card is up, and now it's sideways, so we are just a few seconds away from dropping the gate and racing here in Pennsylvania. Dungey on the yellow bike and Mike Alessi on the orange, battling it out, and Mike Alessi going to grab the whole shot, and he's used to this. One of the best starters in the business has got the start.
And that was a Yamaha, somebody that slid in there, went a little wide. Let's see as they come over the tunnel jump there.
has Dungey in second, Honda rider in third. And Jamie Beswick, what are we seeing there?
You know what? Dungey again struggled at the start in race 1 in that second turn. He kind of went a little bit wide, the back end went loose, and it looked like it's happening again. But he's really picking up speed because he knows he can catch Alessi. And
that was a Lowell Spangler who was battling with Dungey. A local native, Pennsylvania, goes down, and this track is slick, Jeff.
Wow, and he should have the local knowledge on that, but I'm telling you, look at the water holes, guys.
Yeah.
As you see Alessi just rocket out front, and this is what's so tough. This is why Villopoto and all the other riders.
Christian Craig down, one of the young riders out here on the Lucas Oil Honda.
Yeah, that's why they need so many tear-offs and lenses. And look at Craig shaking his left hand because now his glove has got mud all over it, so it makes it hard to hold on to the handlebars.
It's absolutely incredible. You know, I was just down in the JGR pits, and I just saw the amount of detail they were doing to the bikes, getting them prepped because they knew it was going to absolutely throw down with rain, and this race was going to be very, very tough on the riders and the bikes.
But now the skies are clear and it's sunny out.
You've got the 12 of Tommy Hahn battling out there. But Mike Alessi trying to check out. Jeff, you said you got to get the start in the mud so you don't get roosted. Basically, the riders in front don't throw mud on top of you. So Alessi's in a good position right now.
Huge advantage at this point to be out front for Mike Alessi to keep his goggles clear, keep the bike light by not having a bunch of mud, stack up on the front fender, on the front number plate, possibly on your chest and your lap area, especially on top of your helmet. And he can just go ride his own lines. Now, he stays out front. The only problem that he may have is getting into lapped riders.
Now, Alessi got hurt at the first race of the year in California, knocked himself out, had to take a couple weeks off to recover from a concussion. Apparently, he has not lost much during those 2 weeks.
You know what? It's really tough. You know, every time you get a concussion, it really does set you back. But the minute you start to feel that urge and the physicality coming back into yourself, you're back on it again. And he's doing a fantastic job because that crash at the beginning of the season, man, that would knock a cow over. That was so tough. But this dude is tough. And that's what he's built his whole persona on, is being the tough guy of MX racing.
Yeah. They call him the Navy SEAL at times because he's so darn strong. And, you know, not really going to contend for the championship probably this year since he missed those first 2 races. But, boy, he could have if he could have just gotten on the track, because look what he's doing right now. Yeah, and technically, as far as technique and skill, to me, Mike Alessi is as skilled as anyone out there, especially coming up through his amateur career. He's been in plenty of races like this. I mean, look at the gap he has. It was 6 seconds across the finish line, and now it's even greater. Well, we've had a change. That is Reed. So it was Dungey. Dungey has gone down. So that's how quickly things change, especially in muddy conditions in this sport. And this is the big double that they cannot get over.
Oh, well, Millsaps
can. He's working on Reed, Jamie.
Yeah, you know what? It's really crazy because I talked to a couple of guys out there today, and they said of all the people who will do the best in these bad conditions will be Millsaps, because he is super consistent, whether it be dry, whether it be absolutely horrible like this, because in PA, and I live in Pennsylvania, when these storms come in, they come in fast and then they clear and then it's bright sunshine. But Millsaps right now, he's going to take it to Reed, because in race one, he didn't show Chad Reed any mercy with him being the point leader. Davi Millsaps got a point to prove, and he wants to do well because the boss, Joe Gibbs, is right here in PA.
Oh, and here is Dungey, who was second on the first lap. He goes down. He's lost a whole bunch of ground, Jeff.
Yeah, and I seen him when he grabbed the bike. He first grabbed the right side of the handlebar. Okay, that's where the throttle grip is. It's a twist grip, and knowing that it's really important to keep the engine running, because once the bike is hot, it doesn't start so easy. So he grabbed the throttle, then the clutch, and kept the engine running. Definitely saved himself some time.
So you're watching second and third here. Chad Reed, veteran out of Australia, leading the series standings. That's why he has the red number plate background, if you can tell, in the mud of the side of the bike. He is second, and Davi Millsaps is third. And yeah, he rides for that Joe Gibbs racing team, and Joe Gibbs, the coach, is here today. So Millsaps definitely has motivation, and it's paying off. He is, like you said, not intimidated by Reed. He's trying to get second place from him.
No, and he's just come off a great result in Freestone, and he wants to do well this weekend. He does have a lot to prove, and he's a very good rider in these conditions, like we said. And that's going to be the key to the race today. Consistency. It has to be, because the conditions are absolutely atrocious. I think the only people that are clean are the people that are sitting in the stands, because everybody else is a mud bath.
And Mike Alessi.
And Mike Alessi.
I think Millsap just tossed his goggles already. And if you look at the countdown clock on the upper right of your screen, we are 25 minutes away from getting the 2 laps to go board. So Millsaps is going to be riding without goggles for a good half hour here. Millsaps, by the way, is 3rd in the series standing, so he wants to go after Reed. Maybe a championship threat, depending on how it goes. We've seen some bad luck for Dungey last week in Texas. Early in this race, you never know.
And why not? You know, he's coming off an injury, you know, and that's always tough. And now, you know, he's got his bad part of the season out of the way. The Supercross season really didn't go his way, but coming to this outdoor stuff, he's got a new lease of life. He's got a great team behind him who install the utmost faith in him. They give him the best trainers. They give him everything and anything he needs in order to go out there and position himself at the front of the pack.
You guys can see at the top of your screen right here, we're 23 minutes to go before we get to 2-lap board. And as this track changes, as all these off cameras, you slide down into the main line. That main line, that rut is going to get really deep. So this track is gonna go away, and it's going to get even more difficult than what it is right now by the end of this 30-minute plus 2 laps moto.
2 years ago, Mike Alessi was leading the points in this series. He came to High Point a few days early to practice. He crashed. It ended his year. Does the track go on one? We're going to find out. Stay with us. We're seeing the best and worst of Pennsylvania weather with Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship racing from Mount Morris. And we had rain earlier. Now the sun is back out. Mike Alessi, feels like it's a sunny day. Feeling good. Yeah,
and guys, think about it. There's 19 minutes plus 2 laps left in this. In the first moto, Alessi was docked a position. He finished 3rd in the moto. He was docked a position, so he finished 4th. Right now, you've got Villopoto, the Moto 1 winner, setting, or no, actually, now he's up to 3rd. So could that 1 position come back to haunt him and keep him from getting the overall here today at High Point?
Yeah, absolutely. If Alessi had a 1st and a 3rd, and Villopoto had a 3rd and a 1st, Alessi would win because the tiebreaker goes to the better 2nd race finish. But Alessi has a 4th because he got penalized in Moto 1. We'll go back from Alessi now to our 2nd place rider. There he is, Chad Reed on the Honda. It's an interesting situation, Jamie, where Reed couldn't find a ride, and a lot of people thought he was going to retire at the end of last year. He's riding without his goggles now, but he started his own team. Just wanted to come out and try one more time, and lo and behold, he's leading the championship standings.
And I think this is a big inspiration to anybody getting into motocross, because what he's done is pretty much what nobody else will dare to do. They all take these full factory rides, and they have the safety net of these big companies. But Chad, he's gone it alone. He's invested his own money. He's brought in people away from some of these other companies. And you know what? Right now, he's doing amazing things. And I think if he gets this right and the season goes his way, this really could be a fairy tale story for the privateer. And who knows? Add another rider, bigger deals, it's going to blow up for him.
Yeah, this team could be really a force to be reckoned with even beyond this in the next couple of years. Villopoto just went by. He is in 3rd. We can tell you he's on the number 2 bike, but just take it from us. You're not going to be able to see the numbers on these things. There he is.
The brown and green bike.
Okay,
yeah.
the brown and green. All right, there is Villopoto in 3rd. Tiffany Simmons, what are you hearing on Villopoto?
Well, guys, I spoke with Ryan Villopoto earlier, and he told me obviously they would have liked to have won the first 2 rounds, but he knew in the back of his mind, as long as I make it to week 3, I'm going to have a chance to work everything out. The team focused on their rear shocks all of last week. They actually spent time down in Florida to practice and prepare for the heat that they were expecting up here. It paid off in Moto 1. But after Moto 1, when I spoke with him again, he said, hey, I needed that win for myself. It was a monkey off the back type of race, but he was very quick to say he still feels he needs to back it up with a solid Moto 2.
Well, Villopoto's definitely doing that, and I would say that as opposed to the first 2 rounds, the Kawasaki team has definitely got the bike dialed in.
Now we know how Villopoto got into 3rd. Millsaps down, and he's falling further and further through the field, so that's tough luck for the number 18.
Wow, and that close-up shot there, Jamie, you can see just how much mud was on his visor, his helmet. Really weights you down.
I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous, but Chad Reed has just moved into the lead.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out what happened here. If there was a problem for Alessi in these muddy conditions, it certainly wouldn't be a surprise considering how slippery it is. This is Dungey, who got his crash out of the way early, and he is in 5th right now.
And the crazy thing is, I was just about to say that, you know, going back to last year, Andrew Short was dominating Moto 2, and Dungey came through and did the double. But now, you know, Alessi had a 15-second lead on Chad Reed, and they just swapped places. So this track has a habit of just, you can't predict who's going to win. You really can't. And in these conditions, it's a crapshoot.
Yeah, the way Villopoto dominated the first moto, you would have thought he'd just come out here and do it again, but that's not the way it works in motocross. Things change in a hurry.
Yeah, I mean, Villopoto lapped up to 15th. And he lapped 15th in the first moto, and this could be a similar situation, if not higher, if a rider like Reed, Alessi, or Villopoto can stay on two wheels and keep turning some fast lap times, because the back markers, the guys that are in the back, they're back there because they're having problems. They're not having a good moto, and they're going much slower.
Here's Millsaps. We saw that he went down, lost position to Villopoto, then lost position to Dungey, so that puts the number 18 into 5th, and he has Tommy Hahn right behind him in 6th. Hahn out of Kansas. This is riding and training in Texas now, and making a run.
Hahn still has his goggles, too. That's going to be a big advantage for him at this point.
Behind Hahn, you have Kevin Windham, Tyler Bright, one of those independent riders, a privateer, the race of his life right now. He is running in 8th. Ricky Dietrich is 9th. Nick Way is 10th. Focus back in on the new leader, Chad Reed. And I don't even know, Jeff, if he knows he's in the lead. A lot of times these guys go down, there's riders falling all over the place. Might he have not even seen Alessi?
That's true, and he doesn't have his goggles right now, and that's gonna be a problem. Makes your eyes water. There's not only roost from other bikes as you're lapping some of the lap field, but there's mud coming up from your own bike that he has to deal with.
This is so treacherous on these guys. They're not just some of the fittest athletes, they're some of the toughest. Chad Reed leading the way here in the mud of Pennsylvania. A wild day of motocross racing. Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship in Pennsylvania. Earlier today, our own Jeff Emmett got to look at some of the new safety innovations, keeping these riders in good shape on the motocross track.
In the past 5 years, the sport has become safer than at any point in history, and it's because of items like this. Start with the neck brace. This is meant to limit the range of motion in the neck area in the event of a crash, help protect against a spinal cord injury. Also, all the riders have to wear what's called the hats-off device. This is an air bladder that is mounted inside of the helmet. And what the medic crew can do is they take out the chin pads, and they have the ability to blow the bladder up and push the helmet off of the rider's head rather than pull it off. And of course, the knee brace. It's been around for a number of years, but it's very rare to find a rider who competes without a knee brace these days.
All right, talk about wearing knee braces on a track like this. You see the riders dangling their legs off the bike. Comes in handy on a day like today where it's all rutted and slippery, Jeff.
Yeah, and we're taking a look at Alessi right there. And it's when you fall over, you know, and when things don't go right is when you really need those protective devices.
Got a battle on our hands here for second. Alessi and now Villopoto on the number 2. And these two are old rivals since they were kids on mini bikes, 12, 13 years old, pounding on each other, coast to coast. Their families are into it, and here they are racing again as professionals at High Point.
Yeah, you know, it's funny, during qualifying practice today, I was standing with Tony Alessi, Mike Alessi's father, and they were kind of in the same position in qualifying. And I said, this looks like a replay of 2003, you know?
Yeah, and Villopoto makes the move on Alessi. This thing is tough. For us to see the numbers, the fans are probably confused what's going on. The bikes are completely covered, but the rider that just came over the jump first is Villopoto, then it's Alessi. That is second and third, Jamie.
Yeah, Villopoto's looking real good right now. He's looking to take the overall win, but what Alessi's got to watch out for now is Dungey's going to come hot on his heels, because Dungey was riding fast, but Villopoto is the fastest out on track. He's got to catch Reed. Is it impossible? We've seen Andrew Shaw get caught by Ryan Dungey last year. No, it's not. But these conditions, very, very treacherous.
Well, what's the plan here for Villopoto? Does he try to keep it on two wheels himself and minimize the mistakes, Jeff, and hope Reed makes one? Or does he put the hammer down and try to make things happen?
Well, Villopoto still has his goggles, it looks like. And that'll be key as they're working past these lapped riders. But when it comes to these sort of conditions, yeah, Villopoto excels. He's been one of the best that I've ever seen in this situation. If I'm Villopoto right now, I'm just riding a smart race. Okay. You realize second is going to give you the overall, and even though the championship points are based off of each moto, the overall really has no bearing on the championship points other than having the most. having that overall and that claim to fame is going to be a big confidence booster for Ryan Villopoto.
And I think, too, coming in second place today, he's really backing up that race one win. That's what he wanted, you know, when he spoke to Tiffany earlier, he really wants to back up these races with a great second race finish, and that's what's going to take him. But a smart race from him today, and a not so smart race from Chad Reed, that could put him in that #1 position. We don't know yet. We've got a lot of time left on the clock and those final 2 laps.
Yeah, exactly. So 8 minutes and 2 laps to go. That is plenty of time for Reed to make a mistake and maybe shake things up. Villopoto knows that. Villopoto did not need to pass Mike Alessi for second. Whoa, got a little sideways there. He didn't need to pass Alessi to win that overall for the day. But like you said, Jeff, just trying to get as many points in every single race as possible.
Yeah, but now you can see some lines starting to groove in certain spots. And now some of the wet, slippery spots, maybe a line gets grooved in, okay, a main groove, and it gives you that false sensation that the track is good. And then you see like Villopoto went just a tad bit offline, bike just squirreled out underneath of him. So track is more difficult now than even on the first couple laps when it was really wet.
Yeah, I spoke to Metcalfe earlier, and he was saying that, you know, every time he went for what he thought was the right line, it was the wrong line because that hard pack was right underneath it, and that was in great conditions. He says the minute it starts raining, it's going to be absolutely hell. So it's just going to be like an ice skating rink, and that's what it's proved to be this afternoon here in High Point.
Hey, some of them have the deal, and they're dancing here. And I'm telling you, Dungey, he's making a comeback right now.
Yeah, and Alessi, since he's not in the championship picture right now, Dungey's got to get him because he knows Villopoto, Reed, those are the guys that Dungey is got a battle with for this #1 plate at the end of the year. So he's got to get through Alessi right now.
Yeah, that's right. If he wants to keep that #1 plate, he's got to get past Alessi, and it's just a formality now. Look, I mean, he's really picking up the pace. He's reduced that 9-second gap, and Alessi, great riding, fantastic coming off that injury, but Dungey's going to get him, and he's going to move into that 3rd spot.
And Villopoto, about 16 seconds behind your leader. Alessi is just a few seconds back from that, and Dungey, as you can see, just a couple seconds right there. So for Dungey, second place is not out of the question. I mean, he is close enough. He's only about 6 seconds behind second, which is Villopoto.
Here is Dungey. Let's explain Alessi's situation again. Had a big crash and a concussion a couple weeks ago at our opener in California and had to go through, his dad said one day, 15 hours of neurological tests, looking at numbers, colors, and testing his memory to make sure he was truly able to come back to racing. The last thing they want is these riders to come back too quick. Speaking of a comeback, here is Dungey after a fall, making the pass on Alessi and taking over 3rd. That's just grit and determination at this point. Dungey making up huge championship points here after his mistake early. Now, we mentioned safety and the different things that this industry does to try to keep these riders in good shape. Well, this is a little bit different scenario here. Ian Treadle, one of our youngest riders out here, had a vicious crash at Daytona a few months ago. Go to allysports.com to find out more how you can help Ian Treadle recover from his injuries. Great thing the industry has done here to back one of the great young riders. Stay with us.
Tomorrow night, it's
Tomorrow night, coverage of the Stanley Cup Final continues on NBC. After Vancouver's win on Friday night, the series heads back to Boston as the Bruins host the Canucks in a pivotal Game 6. Stanley Cup Final presented by Geico tomorrow, 8 Eastern on NBC. Back to the racing action. It's the Rockstar Energy Drink, High Point National, and Australia's Chad Reed is riding on a very muddy racetrack in Pennsylvania and making it look like it's his backyard. He's got this track dialed in, and we've been talking a lot about Reed's team situation, his mental situation. He feels good at the races. He built his own team. He's got people around him he likes, and it's paying off.
Yeah, it definitely is. And you only have to see in the Perrier, he has the biggest line of fans coming up for his autograph. Right. And he gives them all the time they need. And like you say, you know, he's got a fantastic team. It's all brand new for him this year. So he's just giving it 100% because the guys behind him are giving him 100% too. So it's good to see Chad get this look. And it'd be great to see him back at the top of the sport. He's a fantastic ambassador in both America and Australia, and for basically motocross worldwide. So Chad Reed setting up his own team. Maybe that'll inspire a new generation of team owners.
Could be. Now, Chad Reed was the 2009 champion of this series. Last year was battling Dungey for the title. and came down with an illness, Epstein-Barr virus. He had trained so hard, he basically wore himself into the ground, and Jeff not able to live up to his potential a season ago. Considered retirement. He's come back stronger than ever, it looks like, in 2011.
Well, I mean, I've been in Chad Reed's situation. At the end of my career in '99, I formed my own race team, and I know what that mentality is like. I know the drive and why he's racing, okay, and what he's doing, and I think it's just so awesome that he's having the opportunity here to surround himself with the people on the team and to have the success that he's having and how they're all enjoying it, all the way from his son and his wife and everyone else on the team. It's just been a pleasure, to see it happen.
Tiffany, what are you hearing on the 2-2 team of Chad Reed?
Well, you guys were just mentioning his passion and determination. It was briefly mentioned at the top of the show that he did take a rock to his left shoulder. In between Moto 1 and Moto 2, Chad sat inside of his truck with ice packaged all over his shoulder. It was bleeding. He now has a Band-Aid on it. They were hoping it wouldn't affect him. Clearly, from what it looks like, it hasn't. But again, that just goes to show you the determination he has to come out here and not let anything stop him from doing well.
All right, and Reed has got a pretty nice lead right now on second place, but second place, Villopoto, is not safe at all from Ryan Dungey, who has closed the gap, and we might have a battle between the Ryans for the #2 spot before it's over, Jeff.
Yeah, and they'll be coming over the top of this jump pretty quick. But look at the top of the screen. That's the countdown clock. Yeah. It's at 18 seconds right now, so next lap around, Reed will get the 2-lap board, so we got about 2.5 laps left in this race.
Okay, so Villopoto, Dungey, we expect to be close. There goes Dungey by, and did we lose Villopoto, or did we just miss him again? We can't even explain. Yeah, he just went. There's Villopoto. It's so muddy out here that the riders, a lot of times they pull in after a moto like this, and they don't know what position they even finished in. They're just trying to ride around and complete their laps.
Yeah, I think for Villopoto right now, it's got to be smooth sailing all the way home, because he knows he'll just see that pit board, he'll know Dungey's on his tail, and that's it. He may get a little bit scared, he may put the hammer down, but for him, just stay smooth right now, because Dungey is charging, and out of the two, Dungey's more likely to make the mistake.
Yeah, but Dungey really has been, just riding fantastic this year. He's been really confident, he's been really fluid on the bike, and riding like the champion that he is. Hey, this has been a strong ride for him here in the Rockstar Makita Suzuki team also.
Well, at the very top of the show, we saw him crash at the beginning of lap 2, and you mentioned that, you get the handlebar down in the mud, it's hard to even hold on to the bike. That could send your whole day south in a hurry. He's managed to overcome that.
So many laps, so many motos in the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship that, you just go out and you keep plugging away every lap that you're on the track. You try as hard as you can, and you do the best you can.
So Ryan Dungey, kid out of Minnesota, 21 years old. He is in third, trying to run down the Washington State native, 22-year-old Ryan Villopoto, and in motocross terms, considered the old guy here, 29-year-old Chad Reed out of Australia, leading the way late at High Point. Last lap, Chad Reed in the center of your screen in the blue riding gear, and the red bike is leading the way. Can he hang on? It's going to be close. Let's get to know more about Chad Reed leading this race at High Point, trying to deliver a victory.
I started racing when I was 4, and then that's all I ever known. It's all I've ever remembered, just going to the races, as an amateur, traveling, Australia. I started traveling internationally when I was 11 years old, and that was awesome, just a blast, to be 11. And I was flying to Indonesia to do quite a bit of racing, off to New Zealand. When I was 13 or 14, I got to go to England. Always wanted to come to the US, it was always the goal. Looking back at it, sure, I missed out on a lot of things, but for where I am today and for the fortunate things that I have to look back on, it's one of those things where I don't feel like I got to miss a whole lot. I feel like I've built a really strong team and just a great group of people, and we enjoy racing for I feel the right reasons. We just love it. And really, that's why we're here. That's why we're going racing in the Outdoor Nationals. At the end of the day, I have a family to look after, and you have to look at the budgets, and you have to look at what's affordable and what's not affordable. But at the end of the day, I didn't want to be at the couch and and watching it on live television. Although I'm excited that we have live television, I didn't want to be at home watching it on the couch.
Okay, Ryan Villopoto was second, was 11 seconds behind. Now on the last lap, he got it within 4. So if Reed wants to hang on and win this moto, he has got to go error-free in these last couple of turns, Jeff.
Well, the pressure's on right now, and you start to sense that, and you can feel it from all the fans that are here still cheering him on. There's Villopoto in the background, so any mistake by Chad Reed, and he could give up this moto win. There's Weimer, Villopoto's teammate.
Just went a lap down, Jamie. It's tough. Reed's got to pick it back up.
It really is tough because Villopoto's got the bit between his teeth now, and he's really trying to make moves on Chad Reed. And we're coming down. This is the last lap. If Reed gets squirrely, if he gets out of shape anywhere, big things are going to happen for Villopoto.
You basically have 2 lapped riders between Reed and Villopoto. Villopoto would basically be the 4th rider you'd see in your screen. Here is Reed jumping downhill. He could be home free from here, and some of the toughest conditions you can possibly race a motorcycle on. A lot of riders fell. Chad Reed stayed strong, he stayed consistent, and he will win here at High Point Raceway in Pennsylvania. Doesn't matter what the conditions are, Chad Reed is tough to beat in 2011. There's a mechanic, Lars. Sir Chad, they say. And yeah, he might be the older guy of these championship contenders, but he's been the stronger one so far this year, too.
And guys, look at the mud clumps on top of his helmet, on the mouth guard, all over the front of the bike, and especially in his eyes.
Final margin of victory, 5.8 seconds, so Reed actually distanced himself from Villopoto down the stretch. There's Villopoto in the number 2 spot. Dungey taking 3rd, and congratulating your winner. We have just completed a very, very tough day of racing in the mud and the hills of Pennsylvania. This man, Ryan Villopoto, will come out on top once we do all the math. We'll show you how this second moto turned out with our Lucas Oil race recap.
Off the start here in Moto 2, Dungey gets there first, but Mike Alessi on the KTM sweeps around the outside. Looked like he had the race in hand.
Yeah, and then Dungey in second fell at the beginning of lap 2, so Alessi had a big lead. Riders falling all over the place in the mud, including Davi Millsaps, who was running up front. Just treacherous conditions, and that eventually zapped Alessi. Chad Reed stayed on 2 wheels all the way through and held on to win the moto over Ryan Villopoto and Dungey. So good luck continues to roll Chad Reed's way. And hey, you got to earn the good luck in motocross. And on a tough race day like this, Chad Reed definitely earned this victory. After Villopoto and Dungey, Alessi, after his crash, held on for 4th. Nice job by the veteran 33-year-old Kevin Windham in 5th. Ricky Dietrich, a converted off-road rider, now racing motocross, 6th. Tommy Hahn, 7th. Way, Metcalfe, and Weimer round out the top 10. And Tiffany has Chad Reed on the podium. Tiffany?
Chad, no goggles. You had a banged-up shoulder, a rough Moto 1. What kind of a challenge was this for you today?
That was a tough challenge, but that's when you got to dig deep, you know, and we had tough conditions. The track was so slippery, and Alessi was just willing to let it hang out, and then I just had to get into a pace, and I think he might have got caught up with a lapper or something like that and went down. So I just tried to put some good laps in and then just control the race. It was so hard and had to take off my goggles. And man, just hats off to all the guys for regrouping and making it better. You know, all the guys at Bellray, TwoTwo Motorsports, American Honda, Mitch from PC, all the guys at FX for making my bike look awesome. And I'm just, you know, pumped to get another moto win. I was really disappointed after the first one.
Congratulations to you.
Thanks.
Guys.
Thanks, Tiffany. Let's show you the overall results when we combine race 1 and race 2. Villopoto, who won that first one, is going to edge Dungey and Reed. So Reed has a 1-race win today, but the overall for the weekend goes to Ryan Villopoto, and he's got to be happy about that after struggling through the first 2 rounds. And Mike Alessi, 4th in his comeback to the series. But let's talk to our overall race winner, Ryan Villopoto. Tiffany?
Ryan, earlier you told me that you felt you needed to back up Moto 1 by doing a good job here at Moto 2. Placing the way that you did, what does that say to and send a message to the rest of the field?
You know, it was pretty crazy. As soon as we lined up on the gate, the skies opened up pretty hard, and then the track is just like, you know, it's so slippery. It's just survival. So we got a good start, and it was decent. And then, you know, just kind of picked some guys off and ended up second there, you know. I seen Chad. I really couldn't do a whole lot with that, but, you know, just can't thank everybody at Monster Energy Kawasaki. Dunlop Tires for getting me out to a great start. Thor, Alpenstars, Oakley, Vans, Maxima, Renthal, Falcon, and Volcom. Thank you, guys.
Congrats to you. Guys.
Let's check out the upcoming schedule here on Ally Sports. Got lots of great things coming your way, and that includes more motocross on the July 4th weekend at Redbud and the Pantech Open at the end of July, and more motocross racing in August from Unadilla. Let's go back to the podium with Tiffany.
All right, Ryan, things didn't start off the way you wanted them. What happened?
You know, I got off to a good start, and the track was greasy. You know, didn't do a hot lap, just try to keep the mud light, or the bike light, to get a good start. But right up there on the start, ended up throwing it down there. Just front end started going, and it just went more than I thought. And then again, over the hump over here, just I landed another time, went out. But you know, it's racing. The mud's kind of unpredictable. You know, kind of just got to use what you learn. But had a great time and pumped on the day. And congrats to everybody.
Congrats to you, guys.
Well, the key to motocross is being consistent in all conditions through 2 races of the afternoon. Ryan Villopoto wins one in the dry. Chad Reed wins one in the wet. It was great racing regardless of what the weather had in store for us, and we're glad you folks are able to enjoy it with us. For Tiffany Simons, Jamie Bestwick, Jeff Emig, I'm Jason Wygant. Thanks for watching Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Racing. From High Point in Pennsylvania, congratulations to our race winners, Chad Reed and Ryan Villopoto.